Good Thursday morning, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Let's get right to your headlines. New today, Governor Walz is revealing his plan to fight fraud in the state. He has to prove it to Minnesotans and the federal government. That's after Vice President J.D. Vance announced that the feds would pause $259 million in Medicaid payments to Minnesota. Those funds would be held back until state leaders propose a solution to widespread fraud. 1 in 4 Minnesotans use Medicaid, and Governor Walz insists that the pause has nothing to do with fraud. If payments are paused to the state can't then reimburse providers, and that could affect care. However, the federal administrator for Medicaid, Mehmet Oz, says Minnesota can make up that funding gap.
To make it clear, there is a rainy day fund in Minnesota, so we are very confident that people will not be hurt in Minnesota. If providers and beneficiaries are worried about getting their money and services, please call your governor.
To other headlines here today, grassroots organizers and religious leaders are heading to the Capitol to speak out about the impacts Operation Metro Surge is still having on our communities. This comes just one day after mayors from 4 cities, including Minneapolis and St. Paul, joined business owners and others at the state capitol to testify about their fears if there's no financial relief. Leaders say the impacts stretch beyond the metro.
There is significant loss of working capital, loss of revenue, and that's impacting the families up and down the commercial corridors, the main streets in these rural areas, the ag businesses that support them, and everywhere else. Please consider emergency relief funding for the businesses.
Senator Bobby Joe Champion says he's working on drafting a bill to provide relief, but wanted to hear from those directly impacted first. Currently, there isn't any statewide economic impact data on how the surge has affected Minnesota. We're in our nation's capital this morning, where former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, are set to give testimony in the House investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This marks the first time ever a former president has been deposed by Congress. The deposition brings an end to the back and forth between the Clintons and committee members after lawmakers threatened contempt of Congress charges. NBC's Alice Barr has details.
Hi there. The Clintons have long said they have nothing to add to Congress's Epstein investigation, with the former president saying he cut ties before learning of any Epstein crimes. But beginning today, they'll sit for questions in 2 historic depositions. In an unprecedented move, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton preparing for congressional depositions under subpoena to answer questions in the House Oversight Committee's Jeffrey Epstein investigation, both happening in New York beginning today with Hillary Clinton.
It's going to be the video, and we'll release it. The public will see every second of the deposition.
The couple has not been accused of any wrongdoing, denies knowledge of Epstein's crimes, with Hillary saying she doesn't recall ever meeting him, and has demanded all Epstein documents be made public. Photos of the former president appear in Epstein files the Justice Department has released, and ultimately members of both parties agreed they should appear.
Anyone that has information about Jeffrey Epstein or spend any time with him, I think it's important to ask questions.
It comes as NBC News has confirmed an NPR report that summaries and notes are missing from the DOJ's released Epstein files regarding 3 FBI interviews with a Jeffrey Epstein accuser who also made allegations of sexual abuse against President Trump in 2019. The woman alleges both happened in the 1980s when she was 13 years old, according to a source familiar with the investigation. It's not clear if that allegation against the president is in the missing files. The Justice Department saying it released everything it can make public, but would review any concerns raised. The White House pointed to the DOJ's previous statement that some documents, quote, contain untrue and sensationalist claims against President Trump submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. President Trump forcefully denies any wrongdoing related to Epstein. This all comes amid growing public fallout for a series of high-profile figures whose ties to Jeffrey Epstein have been revealed as the Justice Department rolls out its files, though prosecutors there haven't brought any other criminal charges so far. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, right now, flags across Minnesota are flying at half-staff in honor of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Governor Walz saying they will stay that way until sunset tonight. Today, Reverend Jackson will lie in repose at Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters in Chicago. That's, of course, the organization that he founded. People can pay tribute to the Reverend through tomorrow before his body goes to Washington, D.C. for memorial services, and then his home state of South Carolina, where he will lie in state next Monday. His body will return to Chicago for his final private service next Saturday. This morning, Highway 169 is back open near Mille Lacs Casino after a deadly crash investigation overnight. 4 people were killed and another person was seriously injured. This is a map of where that happened. We know it happened around 7 o'clock last night near Highway 169, just south of the Mille Lacs Casino. According to State Patrol's website, a 21-year-old driver crossed over the center line, hitting another car with 4 people inside. The report does say the crash involved someone not wearing a seatbelt. State Patrol is expected to release the victims' names later on today. This morning, more charges are expected to come down in a massive federal drug trafficking bust against the Family Mob street gang. MPD Chief Brian O'Hara says the gang is connected to 2 mass shootings on Lake Street last September. Multiple people were charged yesterday, responsible for the distribution of enough fentanyl for more than 3.5 million lethal doses, all within the past 7 months. That's according to officials.
To those who seek to fill the void created by the dismantlement of the Family Mob network. That message is this: the FBI will build bridges, foster partnerships, expend the talents of our workforce, and expend all resources at our disposal to deliver the same fate of those networks as the one met by Family Mob.
If convicted, those facing federal charges could be sentenced to life in prison. Parents, listen up here. A new CDC investigation this morning is shedding light on a botulism outbreak affecting babies, including here in Minnesota. Researchers with the University of Minnesota found 51 infants across 19 states were hospitalized between 2022 and 2025. Doctors traced it back to the brand By Heart powdered formula. Testing found at least 1 batch was contaminated with toxins. The company started recalling products back in November. No deaths have been reported. The Paralympics opening ceremony is just 1 week from tomorrow, and today one of Minnesota's athletes is flying out to Italy with the hopes of returning home with gold. 17-year-old Liam Cunningham is from Lakeland, Minnesota, and on the men's sled hockey team. He's not only the youngest player on the team, but also the first Minnesotan to compete on the squad.
Super cool. Not only represent the country, but obviously the state of Minnesota. We're coming in as the 1 seed, so obviously we have our eyes set on a gold medal. We've won 4 consecutive Paralympic Games. I haven't been a part of any of those teams, but I'm hoping to be a part of another gold medal winning team. I mean, that's our goal. That's what we've been working for these last couple of years.
The hockey team's first game is next Saturday against Italy. We are wishing them the best of luck. Well, it's been 1 week since USA women's hockey beat Canada to win Olympic gold, and tonight the PWHL is back after taking a break for the games. Ahead of their return, some of the Minnesota Frost players who won gold in Milan shared their support of the men's team. They were asked about a now viral moment when President Trump called the men's team and joked that he'd also have to invite the women to the White House, otherwise he'd be impeached. So here's what Taylor Heisey and Kelly Panic had to say about it.
Obviously, you take what you may with what was said and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's a gold medal around our necks and theirs as well, and we're coming back to the Frost with a win, so that helps.
I think there's also elements to it with the phone call specifically. It's not surprising, to be frank, so I don't know why we expect differently. But I think for us, it's also just about getting back to the focus on our team and what our team accomplished, and that was, I think, dominant hockey.
Well, Heisey and Panic both added they support the men's team and know the men support them as well. The Frost's first game after the Olympics is this Sunday in Montreal. All right, stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.